Welcome to one of Britain's biggest carp fisheries. It runs from London to Birmingham, measures 137 miles long, and is packed with loads of carp from £1 to over £40, and yet it's virtually ignored by the nation's carp anglers. This is the Grand Union Canal, and my partner in crime on this Grand Union Canal adventure is Martin Bowler here, one of the country's leading big fish anglers and holder of 2 British records. 20 years ago, Martin learned how to fish on this canal. In fact, this was where he caught his first ever carp. In this programme, hopefully, we're going to show you how to catch canal carp too.
And you know what, Kev? Just round this corner, by coincidence, is the exact spot that I caught my first ever carp. I remember it as plain as day, even now. Split cane rod, 3 bits of sweet corn, chucked it out there, and just at dusk the split cane rod went dragged up the bank, and I was in. And that night, I was on my bike. And
this was a 20-pounder, I presume?
No, about 2.5 pounder. Common,
but it was big at the time.
On the way home, I had wings. I flew home on my bike. You know, it was like I'd never caught a better fish ever. That was the thing, that was the moment for you. Yeah, that's when I wanted to catch big fish, and you know, of all different sorts, but that was the real catalyst for me.
And does it change much? I mean, how did you fish for them then?
We used to catch a lot, if I remember right, on dog biscuits and bits of crust on the surface, so it'd be nice to try and catch one on a bit of crust again.
Presumably, again, stuff that's just slung off the side of the boats or fed by people feeding the ducks and things.
Yeah, I mean, it's like many places you go to. It's these underrated areas that aren't fashionable. It's fashionable to go to gravel pits and things like that. But for me, this could throw up a real surprise.
Well, in this part of the programme, we've come to Ivinghoe near Tring. The stretch of the canal along here is run by a Luton Angling Club, which Martin and I are both members of, and you can normally fish on the towpath side only. But we're going to do things our own way this time. Thanks to Stuart Collins here and his cracking dog Jack, we've been invited to fish on the opposite bank, right alongside all the moorings where the carp actually live. You see, Stuart here is a man who actually lives with the carp. They live under his boat that she moors up alongside the canal here, and we're going to see if we can catch those fish that he basically shares his life with.
I can murder them at some times because particularly in the spring, they come right along the edge of the boat here. They keep you awake all night, slurping and banging against the boat.
Really?
Any size?
Big carp, sort of 8 to 10 pound, a lot of them.
And is there many of them, or are we just fishing for a handful here?
No, there's a whole lot on this stretch, and we often can feed them with lumps of bread. We've got double doors down the side of the boat there. You can literally lean out with a bit of bread, and they almost take it from your fingers.
Well, I'll tie us off here.
Right.
And so basically, is that why the carp are here so much? Because all the boat owners that are moored up along here, and the people that come to feed the ducks and things like that, they're all sort of feeding these fish and getting them feeding on all the scraps and things like that.
Yeah, they do, and they wait for the sinks to empty into the canal, so there's a nice bit of splurge there, and they get the odd bit of potato peelings and stuff come through, so they like all that, and it gives them a bit of shade.
Yeah.
And they love it under the boat, gives them a bit of protection. That's why a load of the fishermen here, you'll find their cast, which is quite annoying at times, right alongside the boat and almost fish underneath.
That was me when I was a kid.
Great. Well, I fancy the back end of the boat, Martin.
Jack's told me the best spot is at that end of the boat.
What, you've got inside knowledge from Jack?
Yeah, he's just told me.
See, how devilish is that? He's been getting inside knowledge from the dog.
Well, I last went fishing 20 years ago, so what I normally do is have a little kip and have a beer, and I'll let you do the fishing.
Right.
Well, come on, Jack, let's go. Just got a crusty white loaf, breaking off big lumps. I'm just feeding the carp just in front of the boat. They're coming up and slurping down big chunks of bread. It's like fishing like when I was a kid. Oh, there's one. Just swell. Took it down. Oh, and another. They're really starting to go for it now. I think I'm going to go and get the gear.
Now then, Jack, look at that. A dog biscuit. Now that's one of the use for a dog biscuit, but as an angler, there's another great use for a dog biscuit, and that's as a floating bait. Off this end of the boat, there's lots of trees along here with roots piling into the water. It's a real snaggy little jungle. Because we're on this side, using Stuart's boat, I've got the advantage where I can cast along the canal bank and get my hook bait just floating right next to all those roots. So I'm afraid, Jack, I'm going to use your dog biscuits to get these fish here feeding near the roots.
There's one just come up. Just going to fish. 8-pound line straight through, size 4 hook, and a big lump of crust. And I've decided to use a little tiny short rod, 8 foot, and a centre pin, really for a bit of fun. This is what this type of fishing's about, fun. So hopefully it'll pull my arm off when and if I hook one. Hopefully it won't take long. This one. One's coming.
Well, I assume that hook and tackle pass in my left ear was proof that Martin's just missed his first take. Fishing at opposite ends of the boat amongst some very shy carp means that if either of us catches a fish, we're on our own. Moving around this boat creating unnecessary noise will probably spook all the fish away. Even Jack's gated below the decks whilst we play a waiting game with the carp, who will hopefully make a mistake with our hook baits.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, come on, get under the boat.
Hello, we've got a fish, Jack.
It's come shooting up.
Oh, where's he going?
Oh, he's coming under the boat. One of your pet carp.
Oh, right. Come for his breakfast.
Oh, yes. They were driving me mad, sending me into a nervous wreck. It doesn't matter how big or small they are, when you see lips coming up all the time.
Yep.
Oh, man, you can't get your bit of bread on. Do you feed them on bread?
Yeah, if you feed them off the boat, they'll come up and they come down this side of the boat against the bank and keep you awake most of the night.
Do you want to net it then for me?
Right, I'll do that.
If you just dip the net and have it as parallel to the water as you can, and I'll bring the head of the carp over it, and once the head reaches it, lift.
Here he comes.
Here he comes. Right, let me draw him towards you and lift. Great, well done. Got one of your pets.
Yeah. Oh, I think I see him every morning. Hey, Jack, look what we've got.
Come on, Jack, come and see what's been eating all your biscuits.
Look at that.
You ever caught a carp?
About 20 years ago, I suppose it was, when I got my last one. That's the last time I went fishing. He was about a quarter that size.
That's probably the last time I caught a canal carp. Let's put him back.
Yep.
Once carp gain confidence and feed freely, they become competitive. The fish at my end of the boat were showing interest too. Go on, son. I'll do it. Oh, he's got it! Good grief. Just saw a pair of lips just come up above the surface and just take my mixer down. Oh, he's a battle. And to be honest, they're probably very rarely caught as well. So, looks like he's done now. Here he comes. Got him. Here we go. Oh, yes. Oh. Well, it doesn't get much simpler than this on the rig front. A simple controller float, just stopped with a couple of float stops, a hook link about 3 foot long, down to the business end, which is a little tiny size 10 hook that just pops out nice and easy. What a lovely fish though. A really long, lean canal mirror. Look at that. I mean, he's probably 7 or 8 pound, but he fought like an Olympic athlete, and he's still got a bit in him now. What a beautiful fish. Long, lean, powerful, got a nice big tail on him, and he's built for fighting. Fantastic. Well, what a cracking stretch of canal this is, isn't it? We've left Stuart and Jack down at Ivinghoe, and we've moved here to another stretch run by Luton Angling Club, but as you can see, a much more rural setting. Some carp, as you saw down at Ivinghoe, live with humans. They like the contact and the regular food source. Others, they're more nomadic. They roam around looking for the quiet solitude and just basically the more natural environments. I'm going to show you exactly why I've picked this particular spot on this stretch. First up, we've still got the ever faithful moored houseboat there. People do come and go off that. It's going to be a source of food, I know that. Look at that a bit downstream now. Look at that for a tasty looking piece of far bank foliage. Carp will get under there. It's all undercut. You can see various roots and things dropping into the water. They love all that kind of stuff. They love grubbing around looking for food, anything that's dropping off the trees, caterpillars, anything like that. That is the perfect environment for carp. But look at that. That's the real piece de resistance of this stretch, I think. It's a Dutch barge. It looks like it should be wallowing in the middle of the North Sea, but no, it's here on the Grand Union Canal. Now I'm going to put a bait right under the bow of that boat. If that doesn't hold carp, well, it's got to. At some stage, it's got to. Now the fish here, they're much more nomadic, but I think I've got a little way of putting a bait tight to that boat, and I'm going to show you later, that might just get me the fish or two. Now if you look way in the distance, you've got a bend there, and that's leading to another very heavily vegetated stretch of this canal. That's where Martin's gone.
The reason why I've picked my swim is the far bank margin. There's an old landing stage over there and it's collapsed in, and I wonder if there's any carp around that old woodwork. They can tuck themselves away from the barges, and there's a blackberry bush. This time of year, I know it seems strange, but the fruit on the blackberry is ripe and it'll be dropping into the water, and carp and other fish hold around them kind of areas getting free food, blackberries, elderberries, that kind of thing. So what we're using is a fluorocarbon mainline, 12 pound, very strong, tough. Then I've got a piece of anchor tubing on behind it. That'll pin everything to the bottom, and also if it rubs against that landing stage over there, it'll protect the line. This follows on to a safety clip, so should anything get snagged, the lead can break away easily. The lead is 3 ounce and flat. The reason I'm using that is because we've got a lot of tow with the barges going up and down, and I don't want that to shift. Then we've got a clip, so I can clip on my hook length on and off, and the hook length material is a coated braid, and that's in 20 pound brown, so it blends in with the bottom. And my bait is a spicy prawn boilie, and what we've done is I've used a PVA stocking material, and this not only protects the hook, it'll also dissolve and leave some food around it. So let's have a look, see how the rig works underwater. Now you can see the PVA is starting to dissolve, and you notice mix start to come out, but at all times my hook's protected. There it goes, starting to pop, and it's stripping back the PVA. You'll find PVA melts at different rates depending on the temperature of the water, so it's going quite quickly. There you go, it's gone now, and look at that. Lovely bed of bait, all little pellets, bits and pieces all around it. What carp couldn't resist that? And if I was a carp, and then you come in, wafting around, feeding, that cloud really attracts them. So let's get it out there.
If you thought boats were the only peril on canals, there's one of the others, cyclists. They're a recipe for splintered carbon. They frequently go piling through anglers' rods, and you've got to get yourself set up properly. First of all, a bucket below where I'm fishing. I'll explain why that's there in a second. But have a look at how I've got my rod set up. That's the most important thing. Very often when you fish a lake, you'll have your rod set up going straight out into the lake like that, with your rods coming straight into the bivvy. That means they cross the towpath. That's a recipe for splintered carbon. You've got to get them set just off parallel to the water. Look how the rods are tucked away. There's plenty space for the cyclist to come through without going piling through my carbon rods, which wouldn't be great. Notice how I've done the same sort of thing on bivvy as well. It's an umbrella style bivvy, and I've tucked it right into the undergrowth and given a nice big throughway for the cycles to come through. If you don't do that, I've heard of some horrific sights where basically cyclists in the early hours have gone piling into bivvies and you just end up with a whole mess of broken bones and wrecked tackle. Now then, another bucket above where I'm fishing at this stage. What I've done, either end of where I'm fishing, I've pinned myself in with a very, very visual white sign that says to a cyclist as he comes round the corner, above or below me, there's somebody here, there's something going on, there's someone fishing, slow down. And usually they do. So that's how you get yourself set up on a canal. But of course the most important thing is how you get your baits in. And I'm going to show you a way to get my hook bait an inch from that boat. This is my rig. Straightforward, an inline lead semi-fixed to the hook link, coated braid, down to the hook bait, and I've surrounded it in dissolving foam so it doesn't tangle. What am I going to do with it? I'll show you. I'm going to pop it in a pole cup. You see, I'm taking a lesson out of the match angler's book for this. A lot of boat anglers don't like you chucking leads against their boat. Understandable, really. And I want to be really accurate with my bait placement. What's the best way of doing that? It's with this. 15 metres of pole and a cup on the end, and I'm going to just cut my rig straight in. This method of bait placement guarantees 100% accuracy every single time. Now imagine if you were trying to cast to within an inch of this boat. Yeah, you'd get it right sometimes, but sometimes you probably wouldn't. You might hit the boat, miss your cast just a little bit, and have to redo it again. That makes a lot of disturbance. Look what I can do now. Thanks to the match angler and this pole cup on the end of 15 metres of pole, I can take my rig right into that and drop it. Is that perfect, or is that perfect?
I moved away from a setup to give you a top tip, and that is how to avoid the barges that come up and down the canal and will make you continuously have to reel in, disturbing your swim. Because they come up and down on canals all the time, you don't want to have to continuously be reeling in. So we use this contraption, and that's called a back lead. So let me show you how to use it. If you cast out over to the far bank, and if you put your rod down, grab hold of the main line, get the back lead, it's got a little clip there so you can slot it in, just pull it on and slide it down. And what you've got then is your main line, instead of cutting through the water, is coming down onto the bottom and then going out along. So when a barge moves down the canal, it doesn't grab your line because you're all pinned to the bottom. It would be great to catch every session, and you know, that's how I aim. But I'm never disappointed if I walk away from a trip and I've learned something, and I think that's the key. As long as you've learned something, you're building up to your next success. So I always look on the positive side, and a blank is my next step up the ladder to catching the carp that I want.
Well, the swans have had their supper. I've put up with boats and cyclists ripping through my swim all day. But hopefully this is my time coming up now. This stretch is one of the few that you're actually allowed to legally night fish. And I'm hoping as the sun sets and the temperature just goes out with the day, these carp are going to come on the feed. There's quite a few bubbles coming up near the boats. Hopefully they're not just bream. The next time you see me, I'll either have a smile on my face and a big carp in my hands, or the night will have passed, I'll not have any bites, and I'll have a really dejected look on my face.
Been a really difficult night. I've had bream after bream, but eventually the rod went off and I hooked a really big carp. Unfortunately, it found a lump of wood on the bottom and my line grated against it and it snapped, but you can't win them all. Anyway, let's see how Kev's getting on. All right, Kev.
All right.
Oh, you look handsome.
Yeah. How'd you go on?
Lost one.
No.
Yeah, line broke.
Oh, what, around those moorings and things?
Yeah, I just got into bed. I'd had bream after bream, and then it went off, and it got me in there. I was trying to hold it, and I could just feel it touching. It started rubbing it, and then
Gone.
it went. Any luck?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you got one. Well
have.
done.
It's only just one.
Well done, mate. Well, that looks like a monster, Kev. I thought this place had big ones.
Well, it does, but unfortunately, we've caught Junior. Here he is. He's absolutely mint conditioned, it has to be said. Look at him.
Well, I reckon I'm going to go back and see Jack, because he knows more about carp than you do.
There we go. Well, it's not exactly the biggest beast in the world, but it's common carp perfection, I think that's for sure, in miniature. I think, Martin, the old green algae on the water has just knocked the fish off a little bit and just defeated us, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, but genuinely, I'd love to come back to have a go and see what was in here. It's exciting, you never know what's going to come along, and Junior's here, but, you know, it could be 10 times as big next time.
I think that's the beauty of canal carping. You're not fishing for known fish in the most part, and your next run, well, it could be £2 or £3 or £5, or it could be £15 or £25. You just never know, and that's the beauty of carp fishing.